Welcome to Faith and Freedom. For the next few minutes, we hope to inform, inspire, and encourage you as we discuss legal victories and challenges to your fundamental freedom and religious liberties. Faith and Freedom comes to you from Liberty Counsel, a civil liberties education and legal defense organization. Join us now as Matt Staver, founder and chairman of Liberty Counsel, explains the latest legal issues all across this country. In the courtrooms of America, Liberty Counsel is winning the battle for your constitutional freedom.
Liberty Counsel defends women's right to know in Arkansas. Welcome to Faith and Freedom. I'm Steve Crampton. With me today is Harry Mihet, Senior Litigation Counsel for Liberty Counsel. Harry, we are involved in this case in Little Rock, Arkansas, that involves the Human Heartbeat Protection Act. Tell us a little bit about what that act is and does and why we're involved.
Well, Steve, this law was passed by the state of Arkansas to require so-called doctors or abortionists to provide women with some vital information that they need before they make that tragic choice to end their pregnancies and to kill their babies. The law simply requires the abortionists to inform the mothers whether or not their baby has a heartbeat, right. So that they are aware that they are in fact going to undergo a procedure that will end a human life. It's really as simple as that, and should be very uncontroversial, but we know it's not so.
You know, it's interesting too, in this case, we actually tried to intervene on behalf of a pro-life group, a crisis pregnancy center, and were denied that right, but the court's letting us do this amicus brief, which we just filed. And in the brief, we actually detail some of the true life experiences and heartache, if you will, of women who have undergone abortions in Arkansas and not known what it was they were facing. Let me just read a few of these testimonials because they are just shocking, and I'll warn you that some of this language may be tough for the young and young at heart, but this is reality. This is what's going on in the world of abortion. A young lady named Brooklyn, who only last year underwent an abortion at the very abortion clinic that is the plaintiff in this lawsuit. She says she did not know what abortion entailed. It was not explained to her that the limbs of her baby would be ripped apart and out. The doctor, again, one of whom is a plaintiff in this lawsuit, performed the abortion on her, but other than coming in and saying that if I felt like I was going into labor, I needed to inform someone and get help, I'd have to sit there and wait for 2 hours. That's all he said. Now, as a result, she says, I live with this regret and guilt every single day of my life. My due date, holidays, special occasions, etc., have all been very hard for me to deal with. My baby's 1-year birthday is coming up soon, and I am already dreading that day. When I go to the OBGYN doctor, I feel like I'm going to have a panic attack because the sight of instruments and the exam table, everything about going to the doctor brings back so many flashbacks. It's horrific. Woman after woman talks about suicide thoughts and attempts, severe depression, alcohol, drug abuse, and engaging in promiscuous lifestyle, seeking out even men that engage in abuse to her physically, apparently because she feels that enormous weight of guilt from having killed her own child.
You know, Stephen, there is absolutely no doubt that there is a vital need for the type of information that this Arkansas law requires. And so we have to step back and ask ourselves then, why in the world would the so-called proponents of choice object to a bill that simply provides women with all of the information they need to be able to make an informed choice? Why would anybody oppose that? And I think we know exactly why, don't we?
I'm afraid that's exactly right. And of course, it is being vigorously opposed by the so-called Center for Reproductive Rights and the ACLU, both locally and nationally. Interestingly enough, by the way, and we all know really abortion is a business. It is a gruesome business, but feeding that business requires, in many cases, that women remain ignorant about what they're undergoing. And so the language, well, it's just a blob of tissue, it really hasn't developed, it doesn't feel anything, and even calling the baby it, by the way, all are very effective techniques for increasing the business, isn't it?
That's right. Absolutely. Make no mistake about it. This lawsuit that the ACLU and the so-called Center for Reproductive Rights that they've brought is nothing more than the last or the most recent episode in their campaign of disinformation, in their campaign to hide the truth and the horror of abortion from women, so that they do not, in fact, have any choice about it.
That's exactly right, isn't it? And it's tragic that the media feeds that sort of misinformation, engages in really, it's almost a propaganda campaign. The media refuses to call the child a baby. You hear the terms fetus or whatever. But notice, I mean, we need to really, I think, increase our ability to listen carefully at stories like that. When they want to emphasize, for instance, maybe a collateral damage instance of the military, they'll call the death a baby. But when they want to minimize the effect and further the abortionist sort of viewpoint, it's always a fetus or whatever, and they emphasize the woman's rights to privacy.
Absolutely right. You know, in the last couple of weeks here, we've been flooded on television with news about the royal baby in England. It was never the royal fetus because it was a wanted baby, and it was a baby that didn't impose an inconvenience for anyone, and so the media called it a baby. But any time that you're dealing with news about abortion or news about any kind of baby that is an imposition perhaps or has some health challenges, it's always a fetus to try to dehumanize that human being.
Could almost say, couldn't you, if she is wanted, she's a baby. If she's unwanted, it is a fetus.
Sure. Right? And in fact, we actually have laws on the books in this country that make that exact distinction. You know, in many states, it is unlawful to kill a fetus or a baby inside a woman's womb.
Yes.
Because the woman presumably wants that baby. But if the woman wants to have an abortion in that same state, she can go to a doctor and have that baby killed for her without having any kind of legal repercussion. It's a distinction based solely on the subjective feeling of the mother rather than the human life that is growing inside her.
And yet, objectively, you cannot deny the truth that this is a living human being, independent, feeling also. And there are many now laws across the country that recognize not only that the child is alive in the womb, but that the child at a very early stage feels pain. And these bills, in order to protect, if you're even going to go through and allow for abortion, at least we can engage in a more humane means for terminating the life of that child. And even those bills are vigorously opposed by the ACLU, the Center for Reproductive Rights, and others. And it's just tragic, but a growing number across the country are recognizing this, and there is a real momentum, I think, in favor of protecting that life. And remember, too, protecting the life and the health of the woman. The incredible pain and agony experienced, many of them 30 years after the fact say, that pain, that agony will never go away for what I did to my child. So we need to recognize that objective reality, don't we?
That's right. You know, abortion is not an easy procedure that you can have in a couple of minutes and be done with it. It is a tragic choice that you will have to deal with for the rest of your life. That's why these bills are so effective in saving human lives, because when women are presented with this truth about what they're about to do, many of them end up ultimately choosing life. And that is why the opposition is so fierce and so severe. So there's good news and there's bad news here.
Amen.
We have opposition, but we have much hope and much reason to continue with this fight to save life around the country.
And look, at Liberty Counsel, we want to stand for life, speak out the truth, and really, in compassion, reach out to those women who are suffering under abortion, as well as saving those precious, innocent lives, the most innocent among us. Would you please join us? Call us, write us, join our battle. We can be found easily on the web at www.lc.org. Call us, please, 1-800-671-1776. We need to hear from you. God bless you, and thanks so much for being with us today. Thank you.
You have been listening to Faith and Freedom with Liberty Counsel. We hope that we have motivated you to stand up for your faith, family, and freedom. We can accomplish a lot when we work together. Get informed and get involved today. Sign up for our free monthly newsletter, The Liberator. We will send it out to you free of charge. Stay informed with our Liberty Alert email updates. Just click on the website at www.lc.org or call us at 1-800-671-1776. Tune in next time to learn more about your rights right here on Faith and Freedom.